The skies darkened over New Denver as the massive alien vessel eclipsed the sun. Commander Astra Kane stood atop the city's highest skyscraper, her eyes fixed on the looming threat above. The wind whipped her silver hair across her face, but she remained motionless, her jaw set in grim determination. "Commander," a voice crackled through her earpiece. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." Astra took a deep breath. "Patch it through, Lieutenant Rook." A moment of static, then a voice that sounded like grinding metal filled the air. "Humans of Earth, we are the Vexery Imperium. Your planet now belongs to US. You have 24 of your hours to surrender unconditionally. Failure to comply will result in your extinction." Astra's fists clenched at her sides. "Like hell we will," she muttered. The message repeated, each word hammering into Astra's chest like a physical blow. She turned away from the alien ship, her eyes scanning the skyline of New Denver. The city that had risen from the ashes of climate disasters and world wars, a testament to human resilience. And now these creatures thought they could just take it? Her comm unit buzzed again. "Commander, the President is requesting your presence at the Emergency Council meeting." "On my way," Astra replied, striding towards the roof exit. As she reached for the door, a deafening boom shook the building. She spun around, her heart racing as she saw a pillar of smoke rising from the outskirts of the city. "Status report," she barked into her comm. Lieutenant Rook's voice came back, tight with tension. "They've taken out our long-range communications array, Commander. We're cut off from the rest of the world." Astra's mind raced. This wasn't a simple ultimatum. This was the opening move in a carefully planned assault. "Activate the backup systems," she ordered, "and get me to that council meeting now." As she descended in the elevator, Astra's thoughts whirled. 24 hours. What could humanity possibly do in 24 hours against an enemy with technology advanced enough for interstellar travel? The elevator doors opened, revealing a scene of controlled chaos. Military personnel and government officials rushed back and forth, their faces etched with fear and determination. Astra strode through the crowd, people parting before her like water. She burst into the council chamber, where a group of grim-faced individuals sat around a holographic display of Earth. President Alara Xavier looked up, her dark eyes locking onto Astra's. "Commander Kane," the president said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "What's your assessment?" Astra didn't mince words. "We're fucked, Madam President. Their tech is light years beyond ours. If we try to fight them head-on, it'll be a massacre." A murmur of dismay rippled through the room. General Thorne, a burly man with a shock of white hair, slammed his fist on the table. "So, we just roll over? Let these alien bastards take our planet without a fight." "I didn't say that," Astra snapped back. She leaned over the holographic display, her mind racing. "We can't match them in firepower, but we've got something they don't." President Xavier leaned forward. "And what's that, Commander?" A fierce grin spread across Astra's face. "We're human, and if there's one thing humans excel at, it's thinking outside the damn box." The room fell silent, all eyes on Astra. She took a deep breath, then began to outline her audacious plan. As she spoke, she saw hope rekindling in the eyes of those around her. 24 hours. It wasn't much time, but it would have to be enough. Outside, the Vexery ship loomed over New Denver, its presence a constant reminder of the ticking clock. But within the council chamber, humanity's leaders steeled themselves for the fight of their lives. The Vexery had given them 24 hours to surrender. They were about to learn why that was a terrible mistake. As the alien ultimatum echoed across the globe, panic erupted in cities worldwide. Riots broke out in London, Tokyo went into lockdown, and the streets of Rio de Janeiro became ghost towns. But in the underground bunker beneath New Denver, Commander Astra Kane was orchestrating humanity's response. "We need to buy more time," Astra insisted, her eyes blazing as she addressed the emergency council. 24 hours isn't enough to implement our plan." President Xavier nodded grimly. "Agreed. But how do we stall an alien armada?" A sly grin spread across Astra's face. "We give them what they want, sort of." Within the hour, a message was broadcast to the Vexery ship. President Xavier's holographic image flickered to life, her posture radiating calm authority despite the circumstances. "Vexere Imperium," she began, her voice steady. "We require additional time to organize our surrender. Our world government structure is complex. We request a 72-hour extension to ensure full compliance." The response came swiftly, the metallic voice grating through speakers worldwide. "Your request is denied. You have 23 hours remaining." Astra swore under her breath. Stubborn bastards. But the broadcast had achieved its primary goal, to gather intel. As the Vexere transmission ended, Lieutenant Rook's fingers flew over his console. "Commander, we've pinpointed their communication frequency. And there's something else." Astra leaned in, her heart racing. "What is it, Rook?" There was a subsonic element to their transmission. It's affecting local wildlife. Birds are going crazy, dogs are howling. A light bulb went off in Astra's mind. That's IT. Their communications. They must be sensitive to certain frequencies. We can use that. As Astra outlined her plan, a spark of hope ignited in the room. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. Across the globe, humanity mobilized with unprecedented unity. In secret bunkers and hidden labs, scientists and engineers worked feverishly to modify existing technology. Every speaker, every radio tower, every electronic device capable of producing sound was being repurposed. In orbit, astronauts on the International Space Station risked their lives to realign satellites, creating a global network that could transmit a coordinated signal. As the hours ticked by, tension mounted. The Vexere ship remained ominously silent, a looming threat in the sky. With just 6 hours left on the ultimatum, Astra received word that the global sound system was ready. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what came next. "All units, prepare for Operation Siren," she commanded. On my mark. Around the world, soldiers and civilians alike waited with bated breath. This was humanity's last stand, a desperate gambit that would either save them or doom them all. Astra's voice crackled through comms worldwide. 3, 2, 1, mark! A sound unlike anything ever heard on Earth erupted from every speaker, every device, every transmission-capable surface on the planet. It wasn't just noise. It was a carefully calibrated frequency designed to target the Vexere's sensitive communication systems. The effect was immediate and devastating. The massive alien ship shuddered visibly, its sleek surface rippling as if in pain. Smaller craft began to fall from its hangars, plummeting towards Earth like dead insects. "It's working," Rook shouted, his eyes wide with disbelief. But their victory was short-lived. A blinding light erupted from the Vexere ship, and suddenly every electronic device on Earth went dead. The carefully orchestrated sound attack cut off abruptly, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Astra's heart sank as she realized the implications. They had just lost every piece of advanced technology they possessed. No communications, no weapon systems, nothing. They were defenseless. As if to confirm her worst fears, the metallic voice of the Vexere boomed out once more, no longer needing electronic amplification to be heard across the continent. "Foolish humans, your pathetic attempt at resistance has failed. As punishment, your extinction begins now." The ship began to glow with an ominous energy, preparing to unleash devastation upon the Earth. Astra closed her eyes, bracing for the end. But then something unexpected happened. A sound began to rise from the streets of New Denver. It started soft, barely audible, but grew quickly in volume and intensity. People were singing. The melody spread like wildfire, from city to city, country to country. A global chorus of human voices, united in defiance against the alien threat. No technology, no weapons, just the raw power of human spirit given voice. And impossibly, miraculously, the Vexere weapon faltered. Astra's eyes snapped open, hope surging through her veins. "That's it," she whispered. "That's our weapon." As the song swelled to a deafening roar, the Vexere ship began to retreat, rising higher into the atmosphere as if fleeing from the sound. Humanity had found its voice, and it was more powerful than any technology, any weapon the Vexery could bring to bear. The battle was far from over, but in that moment, Astra knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would sing their defiance to the stars themselves. As the Vexery ship retreated into the upper atmosphere, a stunned silence fell over New Denver. Commander Astra Kane stood amidst the rubble of what was once the city's command center, her mind racing to process what had just occurred. Did we just sing them away? Lieutenant Rook asked, his voice a mixture of disbelief and awe. Astra's lips curved into a grim smile. For now, but they'll be back, and we need to be ready. With all advanced technology rendered useless by the Vexery's counterattack, humanity found itself thrust back into a pre-digital age. But rather than despair, an extraordinary wave of innovation swept across the globe. In the days that followed, Astra watched in amazement as people adapted with startling speed. Old technologies were resurrected and repurposed. Morse code clattered across makeshift telegraph lines. Bicycle couriers zipped through city streets, carrying vital messages. Smoke signals rose from mountaintops, relaying information across vast distances. But it was in the realm of sound that humanity truly excelled. Dr. Zora Patel, a brilliant acoustics engineer, approached Astra with an idea so audacious it bordered on madness. "We can weaponize sound," she explained, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Not just as a defensive measure, but as a means of communication, propulsion, even matter manipulation." Astra leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on." Zara unfurled a set of blueprints, revealing designs for devices that looked like a cross between ancient musical instruments and steampunk contraptions. "We call it Harmonic Technology. By harnessing specific frequencies and amplitudes, we can achieve effects that rival or even surpass our lost electronic systems." The next few weeks were a flurry of activity. Astra coordinated a global effort to implement Zara's designs. Former concert halls were converted into research centers. Opera singers and heavy metal vocalists alike were recruited to test the limits of human vocal capabilities. As the new technology took shape, Astra couldn't help but marvel at human ingenuity. They had taken their greatest weakness, their vulnerability to the Vexery's sound-based attacks, and turned it into their greatest strength. But time was running out. Scout ships had been spotted in low orbit, suggesting that the Vexery were preparing for another assault. On the eve of the expected attack, Astra stood before a gathered crowd in the heart of New Denver. The tension in the air was palpable, but there was also an undercurrent of fierce determination. "Tomorrow," she began, her voice carrying across the silent crowd, "we face our greatest challenge. The Vexery thought they could break us, strip away our technology, and leave us defenseless. But they underestimated us. They didn't realize that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our machines or our guns. It's our spirit, our creativity, our ability to adapt and overcome." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. "We've done the impossible," Astra continued. "We've created a new way of life, a new technology born from the very thing they tried to use against us. And tomorrow, we're going to show them exactly what humanity is capable of." The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound swelling into a harmonic resonance that made the very air vibrate. Astra felt it in her bones, a tangible manifestation of human defiance and hope. As dawn broke the next day, the Vexery ships descended from the clouds, their hulls gleaming ominously in the early morning light. But this time, Earth was ready. Across the globe, massive harmonic resonators hummed to life. In New Denver, Astra stood at the control panel of the largest one, her hand poised over the activation switch. She took a deep breath, thinking of everything that had led to this moment. "Let's show these aliens what music really is," she said, and flipped the switch. A symphony of sound unlike anything ever heard on Earth erupted from every city, every town, every village. It wasn't just noise, but a carefully orchestrated melody of frequencies, each one targeting a specific weakness in the Vexery ship systems. The alien vessels shuddered and sparked, clearly caught off guard by this unexpected form of attack. Several of the smaller ships began to plummet from the sky, their navigation systems scrambled by the Harmonic assault. But the Vexery flagship remained aloft, its massive form still a looming threat. As Astra watched, a section of its hull began to glow, charging up for what she knew would be a devastating counterattack. "Brace for impact," she yelled into her communicator, but her voice was drowned out by a sudden, ear-splitting shriek from above. The Vexery weapon fired, a beam of pure sonic energy that tore through the air towards the heart of New Denver. Astra closed her eyes, certain that this was the end. But the expected destruction never came. She opened her eyes to see the beam splitting and fragmenting, dispersed by a shimmering barrier of sound waves emanating from the city's harmonic resonators. A cheer went up from the defenders. They had done it. They had found a way to fight back. But as Astra looked up at the still imposing form of the Vexery flagship, she knew that this was only the beginning. The real battle was yet to come, and it would take every ounce of human ingenuity and courage to see it through. With renewed determination, she turned to her team. "Prepare for Phase 2, she ordered. "It's time to take the fight to them." As the harmonic resonators adjusted their output, preparing for the next stage of the battle, Astra allowed herself a small smile. The Vexery had given humanity 24 hours to surrender. Instead, they had given humanity the key to unlocking its true potential. The Song of Defiance was about to become a symphony of victory. The air crackled with tension as Commander Astra Kane strapped herself into the pilot's seat of humanity's secret weapon, the Sonic Striker. The vessel, if it could be called that, looked more like a massive pipe organ than any conventional aircraft. Its gleaming pipes and intricate valves hummed with potential energy, ready to unleash a symphony of destruction upon the Vexery flagship. "All systems operational, Commander," Dr. Zara Patel's voice came through the comm system, tense but steady. "Remember, the Striker's power comes from harmony. You're not just a pilot. You're the conductor of an orchestra of war." Astra nodded grimly, her hands hovering over the complex array of keys and levers before her. "Understood. Initiating launch sequence." With a sound like 1,000 church organs playing at once, the Sonic Striker rose from its hidden hangar beneath the ruins of the New Denver Opera House. As it ascended, Astra could see the Vexery flagship looming above, its hull still crackling with energy from the last attack. "This is Commander Kane to all Earth Defense Forces," Astra broadcast globally. "Initiate Operation Crescendo. Give inhale." Across the planet, a coordinated assault of sound and vibration erupted. Harmonic resonators in every major city aimed skyward, battering the Vexery fleet with precisely calibrated frequencies. But this was just the opening act. Astra guided the Sonic Striker higher, her fingers dancing across the controls. Each keystroke sent out pulses of sonic energy, creating a barrier around the craft and propelling it forward. As they approached the Vexery ships, she could see them struggling against the onslaught, their once smooth hulls now warped and bubbling under the sonic assault. But the aliens were far from defeated. A swarm of smaller craft poured from the flagship, their harsh, discordant shriek cutting through the human-made harmonies. "Evasive maneuvers," Astra shouted, her hands flying across the Striker's controls. The massive instrument banked and rolled with impossible grace, leaving trails of visible sound waves in its wake. As she dodged and weaved through the alien swarm, Astra began to see patterns in their movements, in the frequencies of their weapons. An idea struck her, crazy, reckless, but potentially game-changing. "Zara," she called out, "I need you to analyze the Vexery attack patterns. There's a rhythm to it, an underlying beat. If we can match it, amplify it, we could create a resonance cascade." Zara finished, catching on immediately. "It's brilliant, but insanely dangerous. One wrong note, and we could tear ourselves apart." Astra gritted her teeth as she narrowly avoided another alien blast. No choice. Do it. For several tense minutes, Astra focused solely on staying alive while Zara and her team worked feverishly to decode the Vexery's sonic patterns. The Sonic Striker shuddered and groaned under the strain of constant evasive maneuvers. Just as Astra thought they couldn't hold out any longer, Zura's triumphant voice came through. "We've got it! Transmitting the frequency map now. Astra, it's up to you." A complex series of musical notations appeared on Astra's control screen. This was it, the key to either their salvation or their destruction. Taking a deep breath, Astra began to play. Her fingers flew across the keys with the precision of a concert pianist and the intensity of a warrior. The sonic striker sang with her, each note perfectly attuned to the Vexery's own frequencies. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, Astra noticed the alien ships starting to falter. Their formations broke apart as they struggled against the growing resonance. "It's working!" Zura shouted over the comm. "Keep going." Astra poured every ounce of her being into the performance, her body moving in perfect sync with the music of battle. The resonance grew stronger, building to a crescendo that made the very fabric of reality seem to vibrate. Cracks began to appear in the hulls of the Vexery ships, spreading like spiderwebs across their once impenetrable armor. The smaller craft were the first to go, literally shaking themselves apart in spectacular bursts of light and sound. But the flagship held firm, its massive bulk resisting the sonic onslaught. Astra could feel the striker groaning around her, pushed to its limits and beyond. "We need more," she shouted, her voice hoarse with effort. "Everyone, everything we've got." Across the earth, every human voice, every instrument, every device capable of producing sound joined in the symphony. The planet itself seemed to sing, a billion-strong chorus of defiance rising to the heavens. And finally, with a sound like the birth of a universe, the Vexery flagship split apart. The silence that followed was deafening. As the dust settled and the last echoes faded, Astra guided the battered sonic striker back to Earth. Tears streamed down her face. Tears of exhaustion, of relief, of sheer disbelief at what they had accomplished. They had done it. Humanity had faced extinction and responded with a song so powerful it shook the stars. As she landed amidst the cheering crowds, Astra allowed herself a moment of pure, unadulterated joy. But even as she celebrated, her mind was already turning to the future. The Vexery were defeated. Yes, but what other wonders and terrors might await humanity among the stars? O fim o acerta, vai ter ver quem me next. Arfiúde face it unidos, em harmonia, e com uma canção de desafio nos lábios. The universe had no idea what it was in for. In the months following humanity's improbable victory over the Vexery, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. The remnants of the alien flagship, now a twisted sculpture of metal and mystery hovering in low orbit, serve as a constant reminder of both the threat they had faced and the ingenuity that had saved them. Commander Astra Kane stood at the window of the newly constructed Harmonic Defense Academy, watching his students from every corner of the globe filed in. Young faces, bright with purpose, each carrying an instrument that doubled as a weapon of sonic warfare. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" Dr. Zura Patel said, joining Astra at the window. "A year ago, we were facing extinction. Now look at us." Astra nodded, a mix of pride and concern etched on her face. "We've come so far, so fast. Sometimes I wonder if we're moving too quickly." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. A crowd had gathered around a man who was gesticulating wildly, his voice carrying even through the thick windows. "The Vexery were just the beginning," he shouted. "We need to take the fight to the stars. Strike first before they come back." Astra sighed. "Ramirez. Again. His Warhawk faction is gaining too much support." Zura's brow furrowed. "Can you blame them? Fear is a powerful motivator. So is hope," Astra countered. She straightened her uniform. "Come on, it's time for the address." As they made their way to the auditorium, Astra couldn't help but marvel at how the world had changed. Harmonic Technology had revolutionized every aspect of life. Transportation, communication, energy production, all now operated on principles of sonic resonance. It was a golden age of innovation, but it came with its own set of challenges. The auditorium fell silent as Astra took the stage. Faces both young and Old looked up at her expectantly. The fate of humanity had rested on her shoulders once before. In many ways, it still did. 1 year ago, she began, her voice carrying effortlessly thanks to the room's perfect acoustics, we faced an ultimatum. 24 hours to surrender, or face extinction. The Vexery thought they knew us. They thought they had us figured out. A ripple of pride moved through the audience. But they underestimated us. They saw our technology, our weapons, and thought that was the measure of our strength. They didn't understand that humanity's true power lies not in our tools, but in our spirit, in our ability to adapt, to innovate, to come together in the face of impossible odds. Astra paused, letting her words sink in. We turned their own weapon against them. We took sound, the very thing they tried to use to subjugate us, and transformed it into our salvation. But make no mistake, our victory wasn't just about clever technology or military strategy. It was about the indomitable human spirit. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a near whisper that nonetheless carried to every corner of the room. Now, we stand at a crossroads. There are those among us who look to the stars and see only threats to be eliminated, who would have us strike first become the very thing we fought against. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Astra held up a hand for silence. But I see a different path. The Vexery gave us an ultimatum, and in doing so, they taught us the most valuable lesson of all, the power of unity. We didn't just defeat an alien armada. We rediscovered ourselves. Her voice swelled with passion. Our task now is not to weaponize the stars, but to harmonize with them. To take this newfound unity and use it not for domination, but for exploration, for understanding, for growth. The audience was rapt, hanging on her every word. The universe is vast and full of wonders we can scarcely imagine. And yes, dangers too. But we've proven that when humanity stands together, there is no challenge we cannot overcome, no obstacle we cannot surmount, no harmony we cannot master. Astra's eyes swept the room, meeting the gaze of students, scientists, and world leaders alike. So let this be our eternal lesson, not just to any aliens who might be watching, but to ourselves. Humanity is not defined by its weapons or its wars. We are defined by our creativity, our compassion, and our unwavering determination to reach for the stars not with clenched fists, but with open hands and open minds. She smiled, a fierce, proud expression that lit up her entire face. They gave us 24 hours to surrender. We gave them a preview of eternity. Now let's show the universe what humanity can really do when we put our minds to it. The applause that followed was like a physical force, a wave of sound that seemed to make the very air vibrate with possibility. As Astra looked out over the sea of faces, she saw not just pride in past victories, but hope for the future. The Vexery had sought to end humanity's story. Instead, they had unwittingly written the preface to its greatest chapter. As the new generation of Earth's defenders filed out of the auditorium, their instruments humming with potential, Astra knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them the same way they had faced the Vexery, with ingenuity, unity, and a song of defiance on their lips. The universe had better be ready. Humanity's symphony was just beginning.